Hello, my little soul family. Welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited for today's video. It's actually going to be a multiple part series because I couldn't fit all of this goodness into one video. So we are doing multiple videos, but this will be the first in a series of, I don't know what I'm even going to call it. I feel like I'll probably have some sort of title or something figured out by the time I upload this. So anyway, let's just jump right into it. So today we are going to be talking about how freaking important it is to follow the Holy Spirit and to not ignore the Holy Spirit like I did, because it's really easy when we are trying to follow God to get swayed by our own desires, our flesh, the ways of the world, people's influences around us, like so many ways to get us off track, right? And I experienced this firsthand, not with really anything external. I guess it was sort of influenced externally, but really mostly within and what I thought made the most sense logically, but also what I wanted the most. And I really ignored the warning signs of the Holy Spirit. And God was truly trying to get my attention. Like I felt it in my soul, in my gut. Like, are we sure? It truly felt like God was raising his hand. Like the Holy Spirit was raising his hand, like, wait, are we sure about this? And I just completely ignored that and shoved it down, suppressed it, and said, yeah, we're sure. Like, of course, why are you even questioning me? And I really kind of paid the price for it down the road. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is my personal testimony on how God called me to move to South Korea. And here I am 7 months later, actually traveling, and I'm not in South Korea anymore, but I'm going to save all the logistics and details for another video if I even make that video, because it's not really about that. It is about the underlying lessons and things that I have learned from this experience that I want you to take away and you can apply to your own life. And hopefully my mistakes will save you from making those mistakes as well. So the process of following God when he was calling me to South Korea was honestly one of the craziest experiences of my life. I really struggled to trust God in terms of how this vision would come to life and come to life in such a short span of time. And so when I was in the process of looking at schools, I was just looking at Seoul. And I remember through this process, the Holy Spirit, like I said earlier, kind of popped up within myself and was like, hey, are you sure? Are we sure about Seoul? Like, are we sure? Like, it literally felt like God was giving me the gentlest intuitive nudge. It was not loud. It was not a big door being closed. It wasn't super in your face, but it was accompanied with some anxiety around where I was going to live in Seoul, because I had already chosen the school, but I was not sure where I wanted to live. And I remember that there was so much anxiety around where I should live and committing to a place for a certain amount of time, like more of a longer term solution. And I was really, really nervous about that. And I just remember having a lot of anxiety. I actually booked an Airbnb that was a shared housing situation. So I would have been sharing with 4 other people. And I'm really glad I didn't do that. But I had so much anxiety with that. And then when I found the place I ended up living in, I also had a lot of anxiety. And I've talked about this anxiety in another video, the difference between a spiritual attack trying to get us off course and something that God allows to happen to actually bring us back into alignment with him, our true self, and what he has for us. And so that Holy Spirit nudge, like I keep referencing, was accompanied after that anxiety. And I just shoved it down. I said, no, there's no way. Like, I have to go to Seoul. I have to go to the biggest city in the country to get the best education, right? Well, little did I know that Seoul is very different living there versus traveling. I had only traveled there, and I didn't take into consideration really my true self, which is somebody who doesn't thrive in a metropolis type of environment long term. I love the city. I think cities are so fun, and Seoul really proved to me last year, or in my first trip, I should say, that it's just such an amazing time. There's so much to do. It's so convenient. It's clean. It's safe. Like, I fell in love with this city, and I fell in love with the idea of Seoul, and I kind of left myself and I left God along the way. So very quickly, I realized I had moved into one of the busiest neighborhoods in the city. I was in Jongno near DDP. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Very busy, lots of touristy things. Like, there's just so much going on, so much traffic. And that was not great, first of all. I also was choosing to live in a very overpriced shoebox, as I called it, a studio apartment that was barely over 200 square feet. And everything that seemed so great about Seoul the first time around seemed to crumble the second time around. I was not making friends. I was struggling to even meet up with my old friends, mainly no fault of anyone. They were just busy. You know, our schedules weren't linking up like they were last year. And I felt really lonely. And I was just so exhausted based on some other circumstances that were going on in my life. But I was really, really, really exhausted and really depressed, honestly, and lonely. And I wasn't having any fun. I wasn't going out or doing anything because I was so busy just trying to keep my head above water and trying to make this life happen that it was just so miserable. And it took these 3 months of God gently nudging me, pointing me towards the signs, getting me redirected back on track to his path for me. And so I actually ended up leaving Seoul and dropping out of that school that I was in because I realized Seoul is not in alignment for me. And it was a pretty tough pill to swallow, but at the same time, once I decided to fully let go of everything there, I felt so much relief. I want to refocus back on the core of this message, which is the importance of listening to God. I got so focused on trying to make it happen that I left God behind in the process, and me diverting in a seemingly harmless way by choosing the most obvious choice in terms of where to live and go to school, I basically ruined the whole plan. And no, I didn't ruin anything, but I completely diverted off the path that God had for me. And in the months to come, I would be suffering the consequences. I would have to be dealing with mental health struggles and healing from, honestly, trauma of living in one of the most populated cities in the world, all because I didn't listen to God, all because I thought I could do it in my own strength and my own power. So here are some major takeaways that I learned. When God calls us to do something, we have to believe that He has given us the strength to do what He is calling us to do in Him. This means that we are capable of what He's calling us to do, but also that we can't do it in our own strength. We can't do it alone. And I was trying to do it alone. I left God in the process. And even though I was still relying on Him in certain aspects, I was still trying to make this life in Korea totally happen in my own strength. And I got burnt out really quickly. The second thing is to stick to what God has told you. And if He's not telling you anything, then it is generally okay to go forward in my own experience. But if you are getting warning signs, if you are getting that gut feeling in your stomach that something isn't in alignment, if you are experiencing a lot of anxiety, sit with all of that. See what that is telling you and take everything back to God, because He will redirect your steps and put you back on the path that He has intended you for before you actually truly stray out of line to where you get so far away that it's really hard to get back again. And the third and most important thing that I learned, which really is piggybacking off the second lesson, is to not ignore God. Do not ignore Him. Again, this might come up in different ways, whether that's a gut feeling or, reading a passage in the Bible, or, how God will talk to us in these synchronistic ways. Whatever it is for you, stop, slow down, listen, and truly surrender. I guess that's kind of the fourth thing, is surrender everything to God and trust Him in the process. If you are choosing to walk with Jesus and to follow His path for your life, you're going to have to sacrifice your desires in certain areas. And for me, I didn't want to sacrifice this desire. I had this dream. I had this vision of living the soul life, the city girl life, and I had this whole fantasy in my head, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to give that up. So I didn't. And what happened was not great, as you know. So if you are currently walking with God and it feels scary, overwhelming, if you are having conflicting emotions on what to do, if you have chosen the wrong choice and you are suffering the consequences, I am with you, friend. I know how hard it is to truly walk this walk, and nobody really talks about how hard it is. And being a Christian and really following Jesus, it is not easy. Even when it's something adventurous or exciting or seeming like an abundant blessing, like moving to a foreign country, it is still not easy because God requires us to sacrifice. He requires partnership. He requires our unwavering trust. And those things are not easy. They grow with time. They grow with wisdom. They grow with making the mistakes and wrong choices and learning from them and pushing forward. So again, just bring everything back to God, slow down, slow way down, and let him lead you, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it doesn't make sense. Like, I truly wish, looking back on the last year or so, I truly wish I just could have had more trust in God, because I think I would be in a different situation than I am right now. That is it for today. I hope that this message resonates with you. If it does, drop trust in the comments and stay tuned for the next video in this moving to Korea fail series. All right. Love you, soul family, and I will see you in the next video.